All right.
Mr. 772
Yes,
in
sir.
the house.
Yes, sir. Ryan, what's happening? Thanks
Chris
so much
Thiel.
for having me. Yes, sir. This is going to be fun, man. Thanks for it. We finally made it happen after a few months, but we got it going. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So
I
excited to
appreciate it.
have you on today.
Thank
and,
you.
Man, so much good stuff to talk about. I love what you're doing in your like hyper local content.
That's right. Thank you, man.
And just real quick, Chris Thiel with the Flannery Team, Remax Stuart.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
give me a little thumbnail about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been in the real estate business now for 8 years, 4 years on an amazing team, the Flannery Team at Remax and Stuart. Last year we did almost 200 transactions and about $90 million. So that's a
Nice.
transaction like once every 1.4 days. So the team kills it. We're led by a great guy, Jason Flannery, who's been in the business for a long time. He's an amazing
Absolute
man.
stud, one of the
Stud,
best.
man. He's amazing. So, and yeah, I've been in the business 8 years. Came back from marketing degree at the University of Central Florida, and I was lucky enough to be an advertising executive with the Golf Channel. And then made a trip out here in 2014 and said, you know what, let's try this real estate thing, and it's been amazing. It's an amazing thing. I'm so honored and blessed that people choose me, or I get to have their largest asset, whether it's a purchase or a sale, that they trust me to handle that process for them, and it's an amazing job. It's an amazing job.
Well, you do a great job. And
Thanks,
we worked
man.
on many
Thank you.
deals together. And what I love about you is your energy, like how much energy you bring. And it's not just to like videos, but like how much you bring to the transaction and like
Thanks,
how
man.
engaged and passionate you are. And I think people feed off that and clients feel that and they want that.
I hope so.
And
I hope so,
you just
yeah.
do a great job.
Thank you, man. Thank
So,
you. Ditto.
Absolutely. So tell me, so you've been on the Flannery Team now for
4
years?
years. 4 years. He's
Cool.
been great. You know, he offered me something that I couldn't refuse, and Jason's been a leader in this industry for a long time. You know, so it's something I wanted to join his team and be a part of, that I thought I could bring a lot to the table.
Yep.
But also he brings a ton to me. You know, he's seen it all in his 20 some years of experience. He's seen everything that you could possibly do. But he's just a great guy. It's a great team to work with. And Remax, Remax is the local brand. Everybody knows Remax. You know, the balloon,
Yep.
that's Remax. So having that kind of brand behind you as a realtor is something that is extremely good. A lot of times people say they don't hire the agent, or they don't hire the brand, they hire the agent.
Yep.
But Remax is a world-renowned brand, and that's one. I can't tell you how many listings I've gotten because agent A was from XYZ or B, whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm from Remax, and they know and like the Remax brand. So
Yeah, it's
been
interesting.
good.
Like I talked to a lot of like brand new agents, like agents that just got licensed.
Right.
And my biggest advice to them is like, listen, go work for a great team,
100%.
a great leader, a big producer, because you're going to learn so much from them.
Tons. That's exactly right. And that's a great piece of advice. A lot of people don't know where to start in this business, but if you start with a team or start with somebody that, could be a mentor for you.
Yep.
We always joke around in real estate school, it's 40, 60 hours that we always see as realtors would probably get better off, more education if you followed an agent for 3 weeks,
Yep.
kind of shadowed them. And that's what being on a team would be for the new agent coming out there. It's a great thing.
Yeah,
So
100%.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what I'd love to talk about is hyper local content.
yes, sir.
And we'll talk about a little bit of a database, or I call the data bank,
Okay. Yep.
because that's really where it's at if you're in sales.
100%.
But let's talk about like local content.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the local content that you've done. I know the content that you push out, it's really, really awesome.
Thank you.
And I just think that, if you're a realtor, it's important to do hyper local content,
100%.
like where you live, work, and play, because you understand it.
Yeah. So we're in a digital world right now. Everything is digital. Everything is in the palm of your hand right now. So when people are looking to have a multi-million-dollar purchase, or even if it's $100,000 purchase, they want to know somebody that's going to have their best interest. And me, fortunately, like I said, I was fortunate enough to work with the Golf Channel, and I was very, very blessed to have some behind the closed door meetings with, Nikes and TaylorMade and, Wachovia Bank and Target. And I learned how they market to people to get them to come to them. Mm-hmm. And they do it on a super, super local form of it. So I knew when I started this business, I moved here in June of 2014, and I started in January of 2015. And and anybody else that's listening to this can know that this business is based upon referrals. So I knew that I had to do something different in order to stick out. And I knew with the background with the Golf Channel and video that I was going to do some video production and kind of get there. If I didn't know people, I was going to have people come to me. And so that hyper-local content is one of the things when I first moved here, it was a way for me to get out there and learn about my community. So I would go and interview, restaurant owners, or I would go look at the local parks. And it was twofold. It was me shooting some video content, but it was also me learning more about my community so I could be a trusted advisor, when someone is moving from New York or New Jersey or Canada, come into our area. It was a way for me to really understand and get them enthralled in. They can look at all the Zillows and realtors and find out about the houses. That's the easy part. But what people really want to know is what's the best local coffee shop, or where do I want to go for, Italian or Mexican food. So that's the kind of stuff that I think that a lot of the consumers that are moving to our area really want to know.
Right.
And I started a video series called Everything 772. So where I live, in the Treasure Coast, our area code is 772. And one of the main reasons I did that is I started it during the pandemic, when the pandemic was about halfway through. I saw an awful lot of really good mom and pop businesses close because of the pandemic. A lot of the big companies stayed alive, but a lot of these really good family-friendly Christian families that would lose their business because of the pandemic. So I started this series called Everything 772, where I would go there and I would video them, I would interview them, because I saw what a huge marketing aspect that was for me to get my Chris Thiel as a realtor out there. I wanted to try to help the community, and it was a great way to build these businesses and network connections and just give them more publicity so these companies can still stay alive and float. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
I really think that's brilliant, and it's like you have so many agents, especially right now, complaining about leads.
100%.
Like business is slow.
Yep.
Rates went up. The market kind of cooled.
Correct.
And so you have a lot of people kind of like, hey, should I spend money on Zillow or Realtor.com or all these lead gen services that are just terrible and the ROI is not good.
Not good.
And you end up wasting a ton of money. Instead, grabbing their iPhone and going to local businesses and just interviewing the proprietors or the owners. And most local businesses are happy to have you there. It's
100%.
Any free press is good for them.
Exactly.
And the cool thing is, like, when you interview them or if you create a nice video with them, then typically they'll promote it on their social as well.
That's exactly right. 100%.
So it just extends your reach.
That's exactly right. And there's a business aspect. Obviously, I wanted to give these companies some promotion and some advertising as well. And the script was basically this: hey, you don't know me. My name is Chris Thiel. I'm a local real estate agent. I do a series called Everything 772. I love your coffee shop. I would love to promote it. Now, this is free. I come in there. I'll spend about an hour with you, ask you 3 or 4 questions. You give me a little bit of background. I video some B-roll. I produce it. It costs you nothing. The only thing I want you to do is just share it on your social channels. That's it. No one has ever said no. It's free advertising, and it's free from a business standpoint. For my business, my name's stamped all over it. So when they share it on their social channels, now I'm on their social channels. They see Chris Thiel, the real estate agent that is in part of the community, that not just sells homes in there, but is in part of the community. So there's definitely 2 sides to it. There's the fact that I want to give back to my community, but there is definitely a technical business side to that as well. Yeah. And you're right. They'll share it. Now you're on their social channels. Their friends and family will share it, and it's this snowball effect that just kind of gets your name out there. So if you're a new agent out there, honestly, like you said, Ryan, you don't need to pay for leads. Leads will come to you. If you do these things, and it doesn't need to be fancy. A lot of the videos I've shot is just on my iPhone. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways that you can go about doing it. I think a lot of times people get, paralysis by analysis. Sure. Like, oh, I don't have that camera, or I don't have that blah. No, just get out there and go. Is the first one going to be good? No. First one will be horrible, and that's okay. Then you'll start to build and develop off of that. So just go.
My rule with video is, Adrian knows this, like anytime we shoot a video, I don't watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if I watch it,
100%.
I'm not going to like it. 100%. I'm going to want to reshoot.
Exactly. I always joke around with people, if a bald guy that's fat with a huge gap in his teeth can shoot video and feel confident, anybody can. So get out there and do it. Doesn't matter.
Just do it. So the pushback on that would be, oh, well, Chris, you probably come from a video editing background and you went to school for all this and it's super complicated. So what would you say to that?
No, I didn't. So when I worked for the Golf Channel, so I sold advertising space. I started in the marketing research department, so I would collect data. And then I worked my tail off and then I became an advertising executive. I would sell advertising space. I was not behind the camera. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to run a camera. But what I did is I understood how these companies would break down videos and they would reverse engineer it. When I saw this niche getting ready to open up for me, that I knew that if I wanted to make a career at this, I needed to do something different, go into video. I dove into YouTube and I literally just started watching Peter McKinnon and, a lot Zach Ramsden, all these different people who are video influencers that would have these tutorials.
Yep.
This is how you import a video. This is how you cut. This is how you do a transition. And I would spend, hours and hours just learning on how to do that, because there's only so much you can do in iMovie or your iPhone. They're great to start with, but I knew that I wanted to take it to the next level, and it was the University of YouTube. Someone said the other day that there is not one thing, including being an astronaut, there is not one thing that you cannot learn on YouTube. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you heard this, they were talking about they're starting a YouTube university where it's actually going to be accredited as a 4-year institution. Oh. Because there's so much stuff that you can learn on YouTube.
So much.
And it was finding all these influence, and I just self-taught, learned myself. I'd watch the videos, and I thought what I liked, what I didn't like. And then the stuff that I didn't like, I would figure out what it was I didn't like about it, and then I would learn on YouTube how to make that correction, and it just kept going. So it was awesome. It's awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how that evolves over time. Obviously learn on YouTube, and also with this new GPT.
Exactly. That's crazy too, by the way.
With AI, it's just, I don't know if you've played around with it a little bit.
I was just joking around with my wife, Josephine. I went just as screwing around to see how accurate it was. I said, write a script about Jensen Beach versus Stuart. I hit enter, and in real time, I'm watching it saying, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's just going to be like another tool that you can use. It depends on, it'll maybe give you a good framework.
Exactly.
Or give you some ideas.
Good template, yep.
But it's certainly not going to replace creativity.
Correct. 100%. Yep, 100%.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah. And let's talk about a couple of other things that you do that I thought were really cool that I've seen. You're... like getting involved with like local organizations. And I know with the Flannery Team, we have this chili cook-off at the end of the month, which is going to be awesome.
Yes.
Which benefits Elevate Hope.
Right.
And I think you've done some work with Elevate Hope.
So Elevate Hope is a fantastic group that comes out here that they are so incredibly good with helping people in need. They are so... Rena is just one of the best women I've ever met. She is so giving and so kind, and what you see from her is what you get. So, there was a moment in time where I would donate every bit of a portion of my commission would go towards Elevate Hope, just because I agree so much with what she's doing and how she's helping all these communities. So she's amazing. This chili cook-off that we're getting ready to have, I think our goal was $30,000 to raise. I think we've raised $50,000. Nice. So what this chili cook-off is, we have 4 amazing local celebrity chefs that are coming to do a chili cook-off. And it's going to be at the Flannery Team in downtown Stuart at our office there. And it's going to be an amazing thing. They have Brian Mass is going to be there to be one of the guest judges. And all that money goes to Elevate Hope. Everything that's not going to anything, we're paying vendors, obviously, but then the proceeds after that goes straight to Elevate Hope to help fund a little bit more of our community, because that's what we're all about. Our whole business plan, as far as the Flannery Team, is giving back to our community, because our community is so good to us that we have to figure out ways that we can go ahead and shine and give back to them. And doing things like this is one of those ways.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to go to the event. I think it's going to be a great event.
And thank you for sponsoring, too. You're the best, man.
Yeah, I will be one of the judges.
Are you? Oh, my gosh.
I'll tell you what, my dad can make some mean chili.
I'm telling you. There we go.
I'm going to be a tough judge there.
You should be, too, man.
Let's talk a little bit about the database. I think one of the things that we have to do in our business, whether it's real estate or mortgage, is that we have to separate ourselves from being a commodity.
Sure, 100%.
Because there's a realtor on every corner, there's a mortgage person on every corner, or you just Google it and there's probably 1,000 online lenders. So it's like, how do we separate ourselves from being just a commodity in this business, another Me Too lender, or Me Too realtor, and for us anyway, it's through relationship. It's through our relationships with our realtors, because that's our primary client is the realtor, and then obviously our secondary client, which is the client purchasing the house. Sure. So it's our creating that relationship with them, providing them a high level service, providing them things that they just can't get from an online lender or a local bank, closing in 10 days, things of that nature, or thinking outside the box with structuring. Yep. But it's also, I believe, is staying in relationship with them long term.
100%.
Like a commodity, like if you're going with an online lender, you close, and that's pretty much it.
Sure. That's it. You're right.
With us, like we're reaching out to you every single month. We do 2 client appreciation events per year. Yep. And I just love getting the past clients together.
Sure.
I just think it's a great thing to have that relationship. So talk a little bit about your database and your past clients and how you stay in relationship with them.
So you are 1,000,000% correct about everything that you just said. There are so many realtors out there that are in this business part-time, or they're in this business just to make a sale. And I knew early in my career that we as real estate agents don't have the best reputation. So one of the things that I wanted to do with my career is to show support for my clients, because as I mentioned earlier, it's such an honor and a blessing that they trust me with their largest asset. So what we do, as far as a database, is like you said, there is a method to the madness where we have certain contacts that we do with them, birthday cards, anniversary cards, and then we do these pop buys. Pop buys are something that's extremely important, that just to kind of keep you top of mind, but it also is a way for us to go there and have actual conversations with the clients. When you're in the course of a transaction, Ryan, you can testify to this too. When you're in the course of that 30 to 45 days or 60 days, you're in constant communication with them. You need to learn everything you can about that client, because these clients don't just become clients, they become long-term friends. Right. And one of the things that we like to do is to add value. So every 6 months I do a CMA for these clients to go ahead and tell them what the value is, both good and negative, if they went down or not, just to stay in constant communication with them. We have a pie appreciation day at the end of the year where we have these amazing pies from this company that we give out to our clients as well. And the database can be 1,000 people, but you have about 200 people, 150 to 200 people that are really kind of your sphere that we call A, B, C, and Ds. These are kind of your A's, the ones that will refer you business, the one that anything. That they support you. If someone has a request for a referral, they're one of the first people. And we take really good of all our clients, because you're right, the database is key, because as you know, this is a relationship business. This is not a transactional business. And unfortunately, many lenders and many realtors consider it a transactional business, that once the transaction is done, thank you very much, move on to the next one. This business is not about that. The real good ones understand that, and they understand that this business, if you meet somebody, you're going to stay in contact with them for the next 15, 20 years. Not only will they help you in your relationships as far as your income, but they'll help you because they're great people. I mean, they're really, really great people, and they are trusting you with their largest asset in a very, very, I don't know many people that have a $1 million car collection or a $500,000 car collection. So they're trusting you with this stuff, and it's such an honor and a privilege, and we should reciprocate that and take care of our clients. And that's our whole database build management system is all about that.
100%.
Keeping sure that they're staying there with you and making sure that they feel like they are not just a transaction, that they are a person, and that they literally become part of the family.
100%. I'm with you. And, I think it's just making sure for us, I was talking to the team at our offsite, and it's like, listen, we got to make sure we have the proper frame in our mind, especially when we get busy. Because when we get busy, things, it's like just another deal, or we're talking about them as deals.
Right.
So
exactly.
When we did our offsite team meeting last week, we made a decision as a team that we're not going to call any transaction a transaction or a deal. We're going to reference it by calling them families.
Okay, perfect. That's a great idea.
So if
Absolutely.
we helped 40 families this month, we're going to talk about it as families.
I love that. It's
a big deal.
That is a big deal. Because verbiage could be such a big, and I got to tell you this too. So one of the reasons we've been doing business now, I think for 2 years. And I got to tell you, you treat everything that you're saying here, family, you treat all of us like that. When our first deal, I was like, okay, who's this Ryan Brown guy? I hear him all over the place. He's everywhere. Jason uses him. I was like, all right, let me give him a shot. Let's see how good he is. And you killed it. You made, because you are an extension of me. Mm-hmm. My clients love you. I love you. The stuff that you do, everything that you say you're going to do, you preach it and you do it. So I do feel like a part of your family, man. Legitimately, you call
Welcome
and
to
find
the
out.
family.
Yeah, man. It's so everything in it. And I'm telling you, as a client of yours, what you're doing is working so good, because it's exactly right. I don't feel like someone that's just giving a paycheck to you. I feel like I'm literally a part of your family, and you're crushing it. And I love the fact that we do business together.
Well, the easy thing is to say you're going to do something. The hard thing is to execute it.
100%.
Even with all the stuff that you're talking about, it's funny. You could talk to an agent, or let's take a brand new agent or somebody that really wants to grow, and you can tell them, here's all the things that I do.
Right.
But most people probably 99% will not be able to do it because it's very hard to execute.
100%.
It's very hard to execute.
Yeah, talk is cheap. But the execution is the key, and that's what separates the A's and the B's.
That's right.
I mean, that's what separates the good lenders or the good real estate agents and everybody else. It's easy to sit back and tell everybody what you want to do or what you want to hear, but when the rubber meets the road and you got to go do that, now's the time to do it. That's the hard part.
Yeah, there's a good quote by Tony Robbins where he was talking about, success. And he's like, the difference in success in people is just their standards.
100%. Yeah, I love that.
Like, what are the standards that you're going to, and not even just for like business, but really anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are the standards that you're going to have in your life?
Right.
And that's really going to determine your success probably in all areas of your life.
He's amazing. I love Tony Robbins.
Yeah,
that's a good
so much good stuff. So tell me, Chris, housing market 2023.
Yes, sir.
Is the market going to crash?
No, it's not. Well, I wish I had my own little crystal ball here. I don't think it's going to crash. And most people, one of the things I've realized in real estate is that it's impossible to predict anything.
That's true.
If you try to predict it and you try to come through with certain things, you're going to fail because our business is based upon the statistics that we get are months prior. So we're now in February. The statistics that we have are for December. So we can see trends and so forth. But the market's evening out. 2021, we couldn't sustain what we sustained for a year and a half.
Right.
with lack of inventory. People talk about inventory. What is inventory? So we as real estate agents, we use what's called the month supply of inventory. Basically, what that means is we as realtors, if we stopped listing properties for sale, everything that's currently listed for sale would sell in a certain amount of months.
Right.
Anything less than 6 months is a seller's market. Anything more than 6 months is a buyer's market. For the majority of my career, we've hung around 4 to 4.5 months, leaning towards a seller's market. 2020, 2021, we were like 0.9. So if we stopped listing properties for sale, everything would be done in less than a month. You can't sustain that.
Right.
You cannot sustain that. So I feel that the market, the way we're going in 2023, that the interest rates have gone up, which is a good thing because it's cooled off buyer demand. When buyer demand goes down, inventory starts to go up. One of the things that I'm noticing as someone that specializes in listing properties is that we're now doing price reductions. We haven't done many price reductions the last 2.5 years. So I knew that the market has shifted. I took a listing maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and the house was on the market for 7 days, and she calls me frantically, "Chris, we haven't sold yet." I was like, it's been 7 days. We're okay. So, but price reductions are going to be a norm. Sellers are still getting good prices for their money, for their homes. I mean, the prices are still up. The median home income prices are up. But what's changed is that buyer demand is down a little bit. Buyer demand is down a little bit, but it's good because we needed to have this normalization of the market. We couldn't sustain what we've gone through for so long. So is it going to crash? No. It's what it's doing is it's normalizing. Yeah. And what normal is for people the last 2 years have been crazy. That's not what the normal housing market is. Now we're going to start to see a normal housing market where, houses are going to stay on the market 60, 70, 80 days. That's normal. That's okay. Buyers are going to start coming out of the woodworks because as inventory starts to come up, buyers have a little bit more of a choice. They don't have to jump on the first thing that happens in a neighborhood that they're looking for. Now they have more choices, which is a good thing. So I love the way the market is headed right now. I think that the interest rates has done the job. It was supposed to slow inflation. It's done that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a very strong 2023 market.
I agree. I think I think also for 2023, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens this summer.
Sure.
Because with all the analysts are predicting rates going down.
Sure.
Down probably closer to 5, and then maybe you pay some points and get it in the 4s.
Right.
And there's so many people, so many of my clients that are sitting on mortgages at 2.5%, 3%, 3.5%. So, if they're thinking about moving, like why would I lose a 2.5% or 3% mortgage and go to a 6.5%?
Right.
Like it just doesn't make sense.
Sure.
But as rates start coming down, where maybe they could go from like a 3 to a 4.5.
Right.
But they could also unlock all that equity that's now there in their house,
exactly.
hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then transfer that to their new home. That could spur a lot of 100%. Demand as well, because now you're gonna have people saying, well, maybe now is the time since rates are lower.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
So it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out this summer. But I've noticed just in the past couple of weeks that our applications are way up.
Sure.
Up 50%
that's
from last
awesome.
month.
Yep.
And that's usually like a leading indicator of like what's going to happen like 90 days from now. So you have a lot of people that were looking at purchasing last fall. These are not, all I can speak is like for my clients,
Sure.
my little world. But a lot of clients that were looking to buy last year, as rates went up, they put the brakes on. Like, you know what? Maybe we wait until next year.
Right.
And now's the time where they're starting to look. And I think listen, we can always refinance the rate.
Sure.
But you can't always get the house.
That's exactly right.
So now might be the time where it's like, listen, right now we're going to date the rate. We're going to marry the house.
Absolutely.
We're going to divorce the rent.
100%. 100%.
So
and that's what I wish most people would understand is like the rent that you're paying rents now is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Yeah. But I think the paralysis by analysis is the fact that, oh, my credit's not the best. Well, that's okay. I mean, there's programs that you can work out, you know, or one of the best things about you is if a client cannot get qualified for something, you tell them a plan. Like, listen, you can't right now. Yeah. Let's take the next 6 months. Let's work on this. But a lot of people that are renting, they're not doing that. And I just, if you're renting out there, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. Nowadays, it's very, very easy. Not easy, but it's manageable to qualify for a home loan. And you pay your own rent. You know, instead of paying somebody else's rent, making somebody else rich off your, get out there, talk to a lender, talk to Ryan, get out there, because if you can't qualify right now, you'll have a plan in place to let them know 6 months down the road, a year down the road, and it's worked out tremendously. So
I always say that time cures everything in the mortgage lending business.
Yep.
So if today is not the right time, we can always fix the credit. You can always save more money.
Sure.
You can always hopefully excel in your career, maybe make more money, maybe work for a different employer, maybe ask for a raise.
Yep.
Maybe pay debts down. Like, there's always a way to do it.
Exactly.
So it's just coming up with a plan,
right,
and knowing that plan and then executing it. We have so many clients that do that, and
sure,
we get them into homes, and it's just such a gratifying feeling.
It's wonderful
knowing you got a family into a house.
Exactly, a family. I love that, man. I'm gonna start doing that. You're right, because some of the rents I saw for a 3-2 in my area is like $3,200. $3,200 for. I mean, that's crazy to me.
Right.
That's right. So,
and the great thing about homes is that over time they always appreciate.
Sure.
I mean, I always say like 3 to 4% is kind of like the national average, like over time. I mean, down here it's a lot more than that, but let's just use small averages. I was talking to a client yesterday, and she was looking at like $300,000 first-time home buyer, looking for a small like townhouse.
Perfect.
And we were just talking about like appreciation. We're like, well, you know, if you purchase the home, you're going to pay your loan is going to get paid down around $2,500 that first year.
Right.
So the loan is going to amortize. So you're going to pay the loan down. But then also the home is most likely going to appreciate at 3 to 4%. So
sure.
Let's just take 3%. So that's $9,000 plus $2,500. That's year one.
Right. Exactly.
So you're almost like $1,000 a month just in gain from owning versus renting. So if you did that same scenario, and maybe I think her payment was going to maybe be a little higher than what she's paying for rent, a couple $100.
Right.
But if you take the same scenario and you rent, like at the end of the year, there's nothing.
Right, exactly. If I told somebody right now, and using your example, if I told somebody right now that you could get a $12,000 a year part-time job for not doing anything, you don't do anything. You buy a house. That's it. Everybody and their mother would say absolutely. To get $12,000 a year for not doing anything, just buying a house. And that's to your point, exactly. The equity that you gain, the appreciation that you gain, it's a long-term play. This real estate is like the stock market. You know, it is a long-term game. It's always, not always, but for the most part, going to generally rise. Now that fluctuates, maybe 2%, maybe 7%, maybe 10%, but it's a long-term gain. Absolutely. That's
right. Yeah. I mean, one of the reasons like I'm like so passionate about what I do is like when I bought my first house, I know what a daunting experience was. It was like, I think I bought it for $120,000.
Yep.
My payment was going to be like $1,200. I think I was renting at the time for like $900. So I was kind of sweating it.
Sure.
I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. So I ended up renting out one of the rooms for like $600. And I'm like, you know what? There's another room. Why don't I rent out the other room? So I rent out the other room for $400. So then I was only paying $200.
That's awesome.
And so it made me feel a little bit better.
And you got to, yep, exactly.
And I fixed up the place over the next couple of years, and ended up getting appraised a couple of years later for like $185,000. And I was able to pull out the equity through a home equity line of credit for about, I think it was about $50,000 at the time. And I used that money to start a mortgage company.
See, I'm telling you, I love that. I love that.
You know, coming from, very, modest means,
100%.
like my parents didn't give me a dime.
Sure.
Like, hey, good luck.
Exactly.
So, I mean, they're the best parents in the world, but they didn't give me anything. I had to kind of fend for myself. But to save $50,000 to start a mortgage company, like how long would that take?
Exactly.
A long time.
Exactly.
I didn't have that much money.
Sure.
So it's just a great, like a forced savings account.
It is. It absolutely is. That's one of the best things that real estate. So I always joke around that real estate has made the most millionaires out of any other industry, more than the tech industry, more than the railroad, alcohol industry, but it's also bankrupt the most people as well. So it is definitely somewhat of a gamble, but for the long-term gains that you get, starting a mortgage company, starting a business, like I said the other day, or a little bit ago, if I could offer you $12,000 to $15,000 a year as a part-time job, not for doing anything, you'd be crazy not to take that. Crazy.
So
I mean, home ownership is just, I've seen so many people, like I've been in the business 9 years. I've seen someone buy a starter home for $180,000. 3 years later, they sell it for $275,000, put something down. They've gone up, they upgrade. Now they're in $1 million home because they've taken the equity they've gotten and repurposed it, gotten equity, repurchased it. And it's such a cool thing to see these families that we have.
Yep.
To change their family trees, literally. I mean, they're giving their assets to their families. It's amazing. I mean, it's a cool business. I love this business.
Right.
It's fun to do. It's fun to chill out, Chris. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's it. I mean,
fun,
like that's the passion, and I think that going back to the whole frame thing, like that's the frame that you have to have in your mind.
Yeah.
It's like, what we do is not a commodity. What we do is a big deal.
Sure.
Because we're helping people not just get into a house where that's going to be a place where they're going to build their family and have all these memories.
100%.
But it's also a place that's going to help them build wealth.
Sure. That's exactly right.
Yep.
Change family trees as a potential to change family trees.
Love it. So, Stuart, Jensen Beach. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the local area where you live.
Yeah.
So why is that the place to go?
So here. As I mentioned, I used to be an advertising executive for the Golf Channel. I'm from Denver, Colorado. I moved back to Denver in 2009. I met my beautiful wife, and I knew that I was going to come back to Florida, whether I was going to be 37 or 97. I knew I was coming back to Florida. So literally, she and I spent 12 to 13 months researching the entire state. And when I say the entire state, I mean literally the Panhandle down to Key West. We researched everything for 12, 13, 14 months. And we kept coming back to Martin County, St. Lucie County, that area. The purpose, what I loved about it, it is literally a piece of paradise where we have that small hometown feel, yet we're basically 2 hours away from anything. So I always talk about the location. Why is the location of Jensen Beach so great? Well, you're 45 minutes away from West Palm Beach International Airport. You're 2 hours away from Disney in Orlando. You're 3 hours away from the Keys. You're about 3 hours away from St. Augustine, which is the oldest city in the United States. It is perfect location-wise. Now, the amenities here are perfect. It's a beautiful little beach town that we have. It's growing now, of course, but it's a wonderful beach town. The snook fishing, the fishing, we're the sailfish capital of the world for a reason. Golfing, I mean, all these different things, amazing school systems, all this stuff that we had was perfect for Josephine and I when we first moved here. We brought our 7-month-old and our 7-year-old here, not knowing anybody, but we just knew that we wanted to be here. And it literally is a little piece of paradise, which I think that's why I get so fired up about it, is because I know I was the person watching me on YouTube. I was the one that wanted to know, I'm thinking of moving to Florida. Where do I go? And I think it comes across in my videos where it's like, I love this place. I want people to come here. As a matter of fact, the only negative comments I get on my YouTube channel, with people that talk, are all the locals. Stop promoting this place. We don't want people coming here anymore. Which I get that, I understand that, but it's such a cool area that's got the vibe of old Florida yet new Florida. A bunch of mom and pop shops, great golf, great surfing, great fishing. It's paradise. We are so blessed that we live in such a really cool area. For the most part, Florida's amazing, but our little section here is it's wonderful. I love it. That's why I love 772. Got to rep the 772.
That's so funny. The locals don't like it.
They don't.
Stop promoting it.
That's exactly right. They're like, stop talking about this place. We don't want anybody here. Which I can understand that too, but it's funny. Most people are like, it just cracks me up. That's usually the negative comments that I get, but it's true because they don't. We have a piece of paradise, and
it's
everybody loves here.
Such a beautiful area, and even the big river, like the riverfront homes.
Yeah,
like the wide water.
Sure.
Like obviously, if you're on the intercoastal down here, it's like. Typically it's a very small area. Up there, it's like this expansive, view. It's so beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's paradise. It literally is a piece of paradise where I feel like we're in our own little bubble where, we're a smaller city, but we're not so small that it's country feeling, I guess, but we have that bubble there where we have a lot of the amenities of the big cities without that big city feel, yet we have such great proximity to all these other big cities. So it literally is, it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
How do you feel the inventory is in that market for affordable housing?
It's okay. Martin County, there's two separate things. Martin County is where I live, and then there's St. Lucie County is up a little bit north. Martin County is a little bit hard, for affordable housing. There are ways to get in if you're looking for your starter home. There are ways to get in. But it all comes down to, and I always tell people this, if you're looking to get in the housing market, first-time home buyer or something along those lines, and trying to get something that's a little bit more affordable, you're going to have to pull your sleeves up and do a little bit of work. Yeah. You're going to have to put in, maybe some new floors or rip out some kitchen stuff. You can't really expect to go in there and having a turnkey home, which that's okay, Yep. But that's how some of the reasons when you build your wealth, like you talk about, you take a house for $250,000, $200,000 that you're buying. You put $50,000 into it. You wait. Now it's updated. You wait. Now it's $350,000. You know what I mean? So that's how people kind of get going up. Martin County home prices are high. As a matter of fact, last year was the first time ever that the median cost of Martin County was higher than Palm Beach County.
Really?
First time ever.
Wow.
First time ever. And when I first came here, I remember St. Lucie County, the median home price was hovering right around $195. It's now closer to $300. So it's going up, but there are still ways to get out there. And one of the things I think that's important for the consumer out there that's working with an agent is to work with an agent on a team. Yeah. We have what's called pocket listings. What a pocket listing is basically, it's not on the MLS. I right now I currently have about 7, meaning that I know that listings that are going to hit the market that they're waiting for whatever reason. They need to paint. They need to wait for the summertime for school. But I know those listings are going to hit the market. Yep. So if you're looking as an affordable home that want to come in as a first-time home buyer or a starter home, speak to an agent that's with a team, because the first thing that agent will do is reach out to the team. Hey, listen, I have someone that's looking up to whatever, $250,000, first-time home buyer. What do you have coming up? Yep. And it's a great way that you now have an inside track of what's happening in the market without seeing all this stuff and all that extra competition on Realtor.com and all these other things. So that's a great way to kind of try to find a way to get in the Affordable Housing Act.
Love it. Yeah. What about are you still seeing a lot of investors purchasing in the market right now?
Not too many, and I think the main reason is because foreclosures are down. Some investors are doing it because of the fact that, like I mentioned, rent right now is so crazy. It's so incredibly high. Yeah, but the investors, that's not really my forte. I've worked with investors in the past, but a lot of times I know when we had so many foreclosures, investors were coming out of the woodworks. We had a ton of them. I think last month, we had 1 foreclosure in all of Martin County. So the foreclosure market is not good, which is a testament to the health of the market. So you asked me earlier, is the market going to crash? I think when the market crashed in 2007, 2008, lenders, and you can testify to this, lenders were giving money to everybody. Right. Everybody. There were people that should not have been qualified for certain loans that got qualified. And nowadays, in order to make sure that the market is healthy, you need to have a lot of your paperwork done. You know what I mean? There is an actual qualification process that is great for the health of the economy. Yeah. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. Everybody was here. You get a house. You get a house. You get a house. Everybody gets a house. Now, you're really careful on who you qualify, which is great because it keeps the sustainability of the housing market and less foreclosures hit. So.
Yeah, and I really think that how they handled during the pandemic. What they did is they allowed lender servicers to allow people to go into forbearance.
Sure.
So they could skip some payments, they could skip multiple payments, they could roll in those skip payments into the loan. So the government came out with all those programs to help these clients out so they did not foreclose, because they didn't want another 2007, 2008, 2009 again. I'm not the government doesn't always do everything right, but I thought this was a great,
absolutely.
Great move.
I agree completely.
And it really saved the housing market, and it did 2 things. So as the equity got pushed up in homes, rates went down. So they dropped the rates way down. They offered these forbearance programs, so nobody was foreclosing. So if you lost your job, you could have 6 months to a year and not even make your payment, and then hopefully the job came back. And sometimes you can even get extensions on that.
Yep, that was a great move.
But rates were so low, and then equity went up. So it's like, even if after a year you didn't get your job, if you bought your house for $250, it was probably now worth $350. So who would foreclose on that? You just sell it.
100%.
Sell
Exactly.
it, you pay off the loan and take your equity. So
Exactly.
that was really the great thing about what happened there, and then why we didn't really see that many foreclosures. So
Yep.
and still you don't see that many
You
foreclosures.
don't. You really don't.
People are sitting on so much equity right now.
Yep. Exactly.
It's trapped equity. And so kind of going back to like the summer, it's going to be very interesting to see how all that plays out.
Sure.
You also have, as rates drop, you're going to have a lot of people thinking about cash out refinancing.
Yep.
So if you bought your house for $300, now it's worth $600, and maybe you're sitting on a 3% loan. Well, if you have $50,000 in credit card debt, and then maybe you want to buy this investment property down the road, you know, people are going to think about, listen, maybe I cash out some of my equity, I refinance my mortgage, my rate will go up, but I could wipe out all my consumer debt, which is probably in the 20s.
100% it is.
You wipe out your car loan, which is probably in the teens.
Yeah, exactly.
And then maybe take out money to invest. So it'll be interesting to see how consumers go about using their equity as rates drop as well.
I'm excited for it, man. I think a lot of times people have the doom and gloom and they read the headlines, but I'm excited for this market.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you put your blinders on and just do your thing, be with the families that you're helping. And I'm excited. I really do believe that this market is headed in a really good area because we've known so many people, like you said, so many families that now have equity. That you're right. If they want to buy an Airbnb or an investment property, you know, like you said, you change that 3% rate to a 6% rate, but it does so much other stuff. You got a credit card, like you said, 26%. I mean, I'm excited. This is good, man. I'm excited for
and we have a great product to sell. We live in South Florida.
How could you not love it here?
Palm trees, no state income tax. I mean, come on.
You
some of the best fishing in the world.
Exactly. I mean, it literally. I keep saying it's paradise. It's paradise here. It is paradise. I always joke around. I miss the snow every once in a while, and then we'll go back to Denver or something like that, and I'll get snow for my 2-3 days. I'm like, nah, I'm ready.
We're good.
I'm ready to go back. You know, so it's perfect. I love it here.
Chris, man.
Yeah.
You're a stud.
You're a stud,
man. You do such a great job, and I love, like I said, I love your energy. All the things that you're doing, keep doing it, man, and you know, keep serving your community. You know, God's using you in a big way. So I just think of the world of you and the team, and I just thank you so much for coming out today and chatting with us. And thought we covered some good stuff.
Absolutely, you did, man. I appreciate everything you do for us and the community, and you're a wonderful gentleman. God has blessed you with a wonderful family and wonderful team. So on behalf of me and everybody else that works with you, thank you for all you do, and thanks for having me out, man. This was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Thanks, brother.
Anytime.
Yes, sir.